The episode opens with Aaron sitting alone in his dark bedroom, clutching his phone. The last message from the unknown sender still glows on the screen, warning him that the full moon is coming, that he won't be able to hide in the static forever, and that he should run. The ringing in his skull fades to a low electric hum. He tries to text back, but whoever or whatever spoke to him is gone. He paces across the room, trembling, unaware that his reflection in the window lags behind him, jaw slightly misaligned like a shadow learning to mimic him. Morning settles over the town. Caleb Ward walks the quiet main street, coffee in hand, moving with the patience of someone who studies secrets for a living. He stops at the church, drawn to the weight carried by Reverend Klein, a man hollowed by grief and old knowledge. Their conversation is brief but telling. The Reverend speaks of sins buried beneath this town, of bloodlines heavier than others, of children lost to the woods. Caleb listens, absorbing every word. Back at the auto shop, Aaron tries to work, but the world around him keeps slipping. Metal looks like bone, the radio dissolves into static, and then the voice of Reverend Klein cuts through, speaking of inheritances of flesh and spirit. The words strike Aaron like a memory he never understood. Something deep inside reacts. Meanwhile, Dr. Hart and Sheriff Rowe face each other in the hospital. Hart has seen enough to know the hiker's wounds aren't from any animal. Rowe is feeling pressure from every angle, the state, the town, the past he's tried to bury. When Hart admits Aaron's scans weren't clean, Rowe's fear shows. Something is returning, something bound long ago, and the full moon is closing in. Mara turns to her father, seeking the truth he's avoided for years. Inside the empty church, Reverend Klein finally cracks. He tells her about the pact, the one her town made decades ago. A ritual of blood and fire designed to contain something ancient in the forest. A hunger, a force. And they bound that hunger to a bloodline, the Vales, hoping to control where the creature fed. Aaron's family was part of the circle. Aaron was the vessel. The revelation shatters old wounds. Mara leaves the church furious, realizing her brother's death may not have been an accident, and that Aaron was marked long before he ever had a choice. Caleb, now deep in the forest, finds the old ritual site, a stone circle burned black, symbols carved into rock half swallowed by moss. He sets up a camera, whispering his theories into a recorder. He believes the pattern of deaths points to a single source, Aaron Vale, vessel of a broken pact, key to a boundary that's starting to fracture. Aaron, meanwhile, is home opening a shoebox of his past. He finds photos of his parents, a child's drawing, and a blurry image of the original circle, his parents among the torchbearers. On the back, his mother wrote 2 words, "Watch night." Memories ripple at the edges of his mind like heat waves. He meets Mara at the diner. She's shaken, angry, and brutally honest. The pact was real, and Aaron's bloodline is the lock keeping something worse contained. If he doesn't do his part, the boundary collapses. Aaron is horrified. He never agreed to this. He never even understood what he was. But the signs are there, the static, the waking visions, the shifting body. Mara refuses to let him be a sacrifice. "Something has to change," she says. "The old rules need to be broken." That night, Rowe and Reverend Klein argue in the sheriff's office. Klein insists the vessel must serve its purpose. Rowe refuses. He won't let the town repeat its brutality, won't let Aaron be destroyed the way the circle once intended. Their fight ends unresolved, tension hanging heavy in the dark. Caleb spends the night in the forest, setting traps and gathering evidence. A distant, layered howl rolls through the trees, something too large, too wrong, too hungry. Even he flinches, recognizing the sound not as a threat but as confirmation. Aaron returns home and examines himself in the mirror. His teeth are sharper. His spine shifts under his skin, vertebrae rising as though something beneath is trying to push through. For a brief moment, the skin along his back splits, just a thin line of red before healing instantly. Aaron whispers that it won't win. A voice inside him answers, it already has. At the motel, Caleb prepares weapons, tranquilizers, charms, carved bone runes, and reviews files documenting the history of the vessel. In every version, the story ends the same way, containment through sacrifice. He records a message for himself. If the pact cannot be broken, the bloodline must be ended. It's grim, and he doesn't say it lightly. The forest boundary pulses that night. Stones hum like a heartbeat. The creature stirs. The pact strains. Back at the hospital, Dr. Hart examines Aaron's blood again. The filaments she saw earlier have multiplied, branching like living roots. When the lights flicker, the blood slide briefly transforms into an image of a horned skull with empty eyes, as if the entity has imprinted itself into the machine. Hart captures the anomaly, shaken. Whatever Aaron is becoming is accelerating, and whatever was bound to his bloodline is waking. And as the episode ends, one question hangs over everything. If the vessel refuses the hunt, will the boundary find another way to feed? The forest waits, the moon rises, and the bloodline begins to stir. This was never just a curse. It was a system, a balance built on blood, and bound to a name. And now that the vessel refuses, something else is going to demand its due.